The official trial of Kyle Rittenhouse is now underway. We all remember last year when Rittenhouse killed 2 people and wounded another in Kenosha, Wisconsin, last summer during the protest of the Jacob Blake shooting. During his testimony, Rittenhouse swears he acted in self-defense and broke in tears while describing the incident. Today we have our comedy hype analysts, Vanessa Fraction and Capone, calling in with a very special guest, Aida Rodriguez, to talk about the ongoing trial of Kyle Rittenhouse. But first, let's take a look at this clip.
And did you get back? Were you able to go in a northerly direction?
I wasn't.
Describe what happens.
Once I take that step back, I look over my shoulder and Mr. Rosenbaum was now running from my right side. And I was cornered from in front of me with Mr. Zeminski, and there were three people right there.
Now, before we dive into it, I do want to make sure we take the time to welcome the lovely Miss Aida. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super excited to talk about your special, but first, we just watched the clip, so I just want to get, Aida, I'll start with you. What was your initial reaction to that clip?
You know, the real important thing is that my reaction doesn't matter. Those tears can be real. He could very well feel bad, but that does not exempt him from the consequences for what he did. You can do something terrible. You can get drunk and hit somebody with a car and feel bad about it. But if you go in front of the judge and start crying because you feel bad about it, it doesn't mean that you don't have to pay the consequences for what you did. And I think that trying to evaluate what his motivation was or where his heart is right now is a moot point. Like, we get so focused on those types of things that we get away from what is the matter that is actually at hand. The truth is, I'm concerned about this case because the judge won't let us refer to the people that were murdered as victims. That unto itself is an implication of bias. And those people were victims. And the fact that you felt threatened by people who did not have weapons, what exactly was it that made you feel threatened when you had the weapon? They probably were the ones that were in ultimate fear before losing their lives. So he could really be crying. That boy, you know, whatever that was, there's a lot of stuff to unpack there because it looks like a lot of things. It doesn't matter to me. Those tears can very well be real and he could feel bad, and he still needs to be held accountable for taking the lives of 2 unarmed people that were there marching for the innate rights of Black people to have freedom in this country.
Right.
And he was opposing that and went there to agitate the situation. And
right.
He needs to be held accountable for that.
Now, Capone, I wanna come to you next. Looking at that clip, I'll ask you very directly, do you feel that his tears were real?
I didn't know he was crying. I thought it was like he was trying to catch his breath. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know. Nothing of it was real. He was bragging about it when he did it. He held the rifle and took pictures like he was some kind of hero out there hunting, shooting deer. So no, I didn't even know his name, but that was supremacy racism at its best to me. And now if they taught you how to cry, he didn't do a good job in school learning.
Right. Now, Vanessa, I'll come to you next. What are your reactions, and do you think his tears were real?
No, I don't think that they were real when you ask that very blunt question. I am with Aida, though. It doesn't matter to me because they could be real, but that does not matter at this time. It actually, my reaction was reminded me of when my kids come to me and they know they've done something wrong and they start with the, mama, and mama, I don't care about your tears. You getting your ass whooped, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever the situation. That's what that kind of reminded me of. It also is a very true thing that lawyers, they prep you for your testimony and you go over it many times. I watched a documentary about the Menendez brothers, the notorious Menendez brothers that killed their parents. And they were on the stand boo-hooing, do you hear me? And they did a better job of the boo-hoo, I will be honest. But they eventually were convicted of murdering their parents, which they did. And so the tears don't mean anything. And no, I don't think that they were real.
Right. So let me ask this question. I'll come to you first, Capone. Do you think that this will have an effect on the trial outcome?
Ada said a very valuable thing, that they're not allowing the courts to use the word victims. And right there, that is a very biased situation. I'm just going to stand forward. I hope he's found guilty. Whatever the outcome is, I hope he's found guilty. Because after the after effects of all the bragging and showing off his rifle and all that, it was too much to take in.
Right. Ida, I'll bring that same question to you. Do you think, what we saw today when he was on the stand do you think that's going to have an effect on the outcome of this trial?
Absolutely. I mean, how many, if you look at the history of America and its relationship with Black people, people of color in this country, we don't have a lot of faith in the judicial system because it gets us most times than not. And so when you see, a rapist get off because the judge felt sorry for him, and that's why it's important for us to, tell our kids that they can be judges and they can be lawyers too, because we need to have judges that empathize with our people and that can be fair when they are serving. Because like I said, they already preparing us when they said that you cannot refer to people who were unarmed being slaughtered by someone who came there to create chaos, and we can't call them victims. It's already leading us into the direction where we're losing faith. And I'm with Capone. I hope that he does get in trouble for it, because he is going to continue to be a problem if he gets off.
Absolutely. No. And then people are going to feel like it's okay. We see that with George Zimmerman. Some people look at him and praise him for it. So it's just going to be a continuation. Now, Vanessa, before we close out, I want to make sure I let you chime in on that as well. Do you think that this is going to have an effect on the outcome?
Sadly, yes. There are people that empathize. He is a very young man. He's a very young white man. There are a lot of people that are donating to his cause. There's a lot of people that are standing behind him. There are a lot of people that are trying to push other narratives. The fact is that 2 people are dead because of this young man. You know what I mean? So no matter what it is, I too hope that he is convicted for and serves time. You are punished for what you did. Those families are missing a member, a loved one. That's crazy. I don't care about your tears or what your reasons were and all of that. You, as Ida keeps pointing out, you came with a gun to start something. You wanted something to happen. That's why you came. And so I hope that it does not. I hope that they stick with the facts and don't, and get off the emotion. And if there's any emotion to be considered, it should be the emotions of the people that lost their loved ones that should be considered and not his.
Absolutely, and I want to send our condolences to those families. And to be very clear, he came with a military-style semi-automatic rifle. So you're coming ready, ready, almost saying like, "Hey, I'm ready for anything" at that point. But I think we'll continue to see this unfold as this trial continues. I appreciate you all for chiming in. You heard from us. Now we want to hear from you in the comments below. What are your thoughts about Kyle Rittenhouse and his reaction on the stand? For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.
Put it in the comments.
Do you know the comedy culture? Play Comedy Hype, the game. Out now.